Nigeria wasn't colonized by accident. It was targeted, not because it was weak, but because it was valuable. A land rich in resources, strategically positioned, already organized into powerful kingdoms. So Britain didn't discover Nigeria. It saw an opportunity and took it. When people talk about colonial history, they often simplify it. They say Britain came and built Nigeria. But that's not the full story. Because long before colonial rule, the region we now call Nigeria was already thriving. Economically, politically, culturally. It had structure, it had power, and most importantly, it had value. And that value is exactly what drew Britain in. Before Britain ever arrived, there was no Nigeria. There were nations. In the south, the powerful Benin Empire stood as one of Africa's most advanced states, known for its art, governance, and military strength. Its capital city was highly organized, with roads, walls, and a structured system of leadership. In the west, the Yoruba kingdoms like Oyo Empire controlled trade and maintained complex political systems. They had checks and balances, councils, and systems of accountability. In the north, vast Islamic states such as the Sokoto Caliphate governed millions of people with laws, taxation system, and strong administrative structures. These were not scattered tribes. These were organized societies with systems that had developed over centuries. This was not an empty land waiting to be built. It was a region of established power even before European influence. These regions were connected through trade. Markets thrived. Goods moved between the north and south. Salt, textiles, leather, kola nuts, and agricultural products circulated across vast distances. Trade routes linked communities, creating economic interdependence. Wealth wasn't centralized in one place. It flowed, and this internal system made the region even more attractive to outside powers. Because Britain wasn't entering chaos, it was entering an already functioning economy. So why did Britain focus on this region? The answer begins with one word: resources. During the Industrial Revolution, Britain needed raw materials. Factories demanded supply, and Nigeria provided it. Palm oil became essential, used to lubricate machines and produce soap. Groundnuts, rubber, and other crops followed. But it wasn't just raw materials, it was scale. Nigeria offered abundance and consistency. But even beyond resources, there was strategy. Positioned along the West African coast, Nigeria became a gateway, a point of access into the continent's interior. Control Nigeria, and you influence everything connected to it. There was also a shift happening globally. The transatlantic slave trade was declining, and Britain needed a replacement economic model. This led to what historians call legitimate trade. Instead of enslaved people, goods became the focus. Palm oil, agricultural exports, natural resources. Nigeria quickly became central to this new system, and Britain moved to secure it. At first, Britain didn't come with armies. It came with trade. Companies like the Royal Niger Company established influence along rivers and trade routes. They signed treaties, negotiated agreements, and gradually expanded control. But these agreements were often unequal, misunderstood, or enforced through pressure. Over time, economic influence turned into political power, and when competition from other European nations increased, Britain escalated. This was the era of the scramble for Africa. Territories were claimed, borders were drawn, with little regard for existing systems. By the early 20th century, Britain had taken control. In 1914, Britain merged multiple regions into one entity and called it Nigeria. But this wasn't a unification based on shared identity. It was administrative, designed for efficiency, for easier governance, for better control. Different cultures, different religions, different political traditions, all placed under one system. This created a new reality, one that people had to adapt to, whether they chose it or not. Under colonial rule, Nigeria became a production zone. Resources were extracted, crops were cultivated for export, railways were built, roads constructed, but this development followed a pattern. They connected resource areas to ports, not communities to each other. The goal was movement of goods outward, not development inward. The system worked, but not for everyone. Colonial rule reshaped society. Traditional leaders were sometimes preserved, but often redefined. New administrative systems were introduced. Education changed. Religion spread in new ways, and divisions became more structured. Lines that once existed fluidly became more rigid. These changes had lasting effects because they didn't end with colonial rule. They continued into independence. Here's the twist. Britain didn't make Nigeria valuable. Nigeria was already valuable. That's why it was targeted. The systems, the trade, the organization, all existed before colonial control. Britain didn't create power there. It redirected it. So what does this mean today? It means Nigeria's story didn't begin with colonization. It began long before, with kingdoms, with systems, with strength. Colonial rule didn't create Nigeria's importance. It reshaped it. An understanding that changes how we see the present. Because history isn't just about what happened. It's about how it continues to shape what comes next. For more deep dives into history, hidden truths, and untold stories, subscribe to DarkHistoryFile, because history is never as simple as it seems.